Yo, Final Fantasy Type Zero is my, like, I love that little game. There's a lot of problems with it. I don't know if I could really recommend it, but it's one of those, dark, dirty secrets I like, like, Dynasty Warriors or whatever. It's like, man, I'm really digging this game. I know it's not very good. I think problem with Type Zero, and I'm talking mainly about the HD remaster, whatever they did back in the early PS4, Xbox One days, is that it is a PSP game, especially when you're looking at the background. It looks like just like mostly square rooms and linear corridors, and it looks like some N64 graphics. And then like the characters themselves more look like PlayStation 3. They're like been updated. They might have been the models they used in like the cutscenes or whatever. It just gives you this kind of graphic hodgepodge, and on top of that, when I played it back in the day, it had some god awful motion blur. I believe they patched that out. If you was to play this game today, probably would look and see what the PC version does, so you make sure that motion blur is not in there. But it just stuck with me. It's like this awesome freaking game that should not be very good. I know it's not very good, but to me it was good. And so you basically have around, I don't know, it was about 12 characters or whatever. These different characters, they have pretty radically different abilities, and so some of them are melee and some of them are ranged, and you kind of get through these longer, like, story-based missions where they know that you've got 12 characters and they try to take them from you. They try to kill your characters, and then once you lose them, you can't get them back until the next mission, and it becomes this thing. It's like, and then you can like pick the sometimes you set them in different teams, and then sometimes you're like, well, you need your hustle character, your freaking shooter character. You need King with the double guns as the last guy. He's got to carry the load if the Deuce drops her ball again, drops her big mace in her own head. And it was like, there were some cheap deaths to try to kill those characters, but I loved it. It's like, no, you got Deuce, you killed him, and it was something that was vibing. And you add that in with, I think, some of the top best music period in a Final Fantasy game, which is saying a hell of a lot. And I think that Final Fantasy Type Zero is one of the spin-offs that you should actually play. A lot of those like Final Fantasy 7 ones are like terrible, but I really like this one. And I had bought a Vita launch day specifically because I knew that they were going to bring over Type Zero, which I had heard about from Japan on PSP. It's like, they're definitely going to put it on the Vita, and it's going to be awesome. No. The Vita had a rough couple of years there to begin with. It ended up being the freaking anime pervert system, but this is different, a matter of aside. I was really digging I played it on Xbox, this Final Fantasy Type Zero. When it finally did come out, it was everything that I wanted it to be. And honestly, there was rumors here and there several years ago about there being a Type 2 or 01 or 0 Type 2. I don't know what the hell number you would do on this damn numbering system, but I would have been more hyped than that than, say, Final Fantasy 15 or 16, honestly, because I must assume, I mean, it's a bad assumption, but one to have, that they'll screw up the main line. But I was really digging this. Now, there's not much good in terms of story or even like character interaction. The characters, the characters barely get any screen time, and it's mostly like the teachers and shit or whatever. I'm not really particularly interested in that. It was the gameplay, and I wanted to say it was like a 20 or 30 hour game. It was not very long, but I was really digging it at the time. Maybe because back in your 2015s and 16s, you were just desperate for dang Japanese RPGs, period. But I have fond memories, and it's always stuck in the back of the mind. It's one of the last actual good Final Fantasy experiences I've had. Now it's flaky, it's janky. It is literally a PSP game that they've upscaled and try to put some graphics on and try to blur everything out with just egregious motion blur. But I still recommend it a lot. So Big Kitty's giving the paw up for just the music alone. The music is phenomenal, I'm telling you, and he will be humming this shit. And now Brian liked the kind of cheap, but still the 12 different characters that you're trying to get through a big story mission, and they're trying to kill your characters. They know you got 12. They're trying to think. Brian loved that crap. You know, they might cheese on your freaking shooter. They might try to get him. You don't know whether you need to put him on the front or at the end of your list, your queue. But recommend this game. I don't know what it's running these days. If you're paying more than $10, it's probably too much. But like, subscribe, and all that good shit. But Final Fantasy Type 0 is one of those games that really stuck with me.